Hey everybody, Brian Troe coming to you from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing with your fly fishing forecast. The date for today is Monday, the 26th of February. So we've got a nice week ahead of us. It's going to be in the 60s today. It's going to be in the 60s tomorrow. It's going to be in the 60s Wednesday, it looks like. So a good taste of spring here to start off the week. And along with that, we're going to have some rain coming in as well. So the wet weather continues. This past weekend, we had some rain, we had some snow. Pretty much on Saturday, everything above 2,000 feet got a good quick shot of snow. And we're just going to continue with this wet pattern. So warming up here the next few days. Cold front coming through Wednesday night, and then it's going to cool off a little bit. And then it looks like we have a really nice weekend in store. So really good fishing conditions, really good for the trout fishing, really good for the high mountain brook trout fishing, etc. So let's kind of dig in a little bit to what's going on the water temperatures and flies to use and all that good stuff. So brook trout fishing reports continue to come in. They're very good. Water levels are awesome. Those creeks just need this constant recharge of water. It does really, really well for the fish. Gives them everything they need: cover, oxygen, and food, bringing the food. So speaking of food, those first little bugs we've been talking about have been popping here and popping there. Blue wing olives, the granum, which is a little black caddis, real tiny black caddis. Those things have been coming off, are going to continue to come off. The first quills of the year have been showing up on warmer days in the afternoon, and that's going to continue and just become more reliable, more predictable as you go on, as we get into March here towards the end of the next week. And so nymph fishing on cool days, nymph fishing in the morning up in those mountain streams, and then dry dropper or look for some bugs to hatch and a couple rises here and there in the afternoons. The larger streams, the state's still out stocking. They're out stocking lakes, or out stocking put and take water, delayed harvest streams. And one thing that you all need to be looking for coming up in March, I always talk about this every spring, okay? This is like fishing the dirty flies. So people have all kinds of opinions and views on fly fishing patterns like worms, San Juan worms, squirmy worms, eggs, sucker spawn, etc. It's always funny for me to watch how different people have such strong opinions on these things, whether something's a fly or not a fly, etc., etc. But here's the reality. Here's the way I look at it. As a fly angler and as a tyer, I like to imitate what fish eat. And the reality is egg is one of the freest and most high protein foods in the fish's world. Okay, so whether it's a stock trout and it's exposed to that egg in the hatchery, or whether it's a wild fish and it's got all these different species of fish around it that are spawning and laying egg at different times of the year, the egg is the freest and the best food in all of nature. All right. I think just because people associate it with fishing, a salmon egg or something that's closer, that is true bait, something that's natural, something that has smell, that people kind of avoid it or stay away from it. But especially moving into March here in the Commonwealth, you're going to find a lot of fish spawning. All right. So we don't have a ton of these streams, but we do have wild rainbows that live throughout the state. They're going to be spawning here in March. Our fall fish, which are really prolific in a lot of streams, particularly down at lower elevations here on the valley floor, they're going to be spawning in March. A lot of our suckers, a lot of our chubs, and all these bait fish that live in a lot of our freestone streams are going to be spawning as well. So for me, if I'm going to be matching what the fish eat, then I'm going to have several egg patterns with me. Egg can be like all kinds of different color, which is why we sell egg patterns in different color. Some are lumped together in like a cluster. So we have flies that imitate that. Some are single balls. So yellows, oranges, peaches. These are all colors of different egg, pinks that can imitate food around here. So when a trout sees an egg floating down the stream, it isn't going to swim away. It's not a minnow, okay? and it is high in protein, and it's very easy and free for them to eat. So when it comes to worms, I think a lot of people associate, fishing a sandworm worm or a squirmy worm with, growing up as a kid, I would fish a cane pole and we'd dig earthworms and throw those things out there. But the reality is our streams all over the state here have huge populations of aquatic worms, okay? And a lot of freestone trout streams cross country have these as well. So the reason that we're not throwing 5-inch long, big brown looking earthworms is because the reality is fish just don't see those very often, okay? So the flies that we carry here, some of our different patterns that you'll see on our online store and here in the shop, they are made to imitate the colors, the size, the shape of aquatic worms that live in our freestone streams around here. Now, just like any other fly, you'll find super crazy colors like hot pink worms. Well, this is an attractor fly. This is just an attractor color. Obviously, we don't have worms that are exactly that color, but color is important. Bright colors oftentimes generate a strike when natural colors are not. So anyway, don't be afraid to dig into that portion of the fly bin, particularly as we go through March, because March is when it's the most relevant. You can catch fish on these flies year round, but it's a bit more genuine. You are matching the food du jour when you're fishing these types of flies in the springtime. All right. So, and people don't talk about this very much. We focus very much on avoiding, brook trout spawns, but there are several reproducing wild rainbow trout streams in Virginia. If you fish those or you know where they are, then you need to take the appropriate steps to avoid those nests and avoid those spots, just like you would any other spawning fish as an ethical angler trying to avoid trampling on those reds or interfering with reproduction and spawn. So anyway, be on the lookout for all of that stuff. Moving downstream a little bit into the spring creeks. The spring creeks are fishing quite well. They benefit from the regular rain as well. We're filling this aquifer back up. That way, when we have times of drought, the spring creeks will hopefully have plenty of water that they're tapped into to keep on flowing nicely. A lot more constant temperature, a lot warmer temperatures on our spring creeks, sometimes anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees warmer than up in the mountains, particularly after we've had some snow or snow melt. Those mountain creeks will really dip quickly from that melt. So, much more active fish as far as their metabolism goes, but much more selective fish because they just have all this food at their disposal. Fish and streamers still, particularly on overcast days. We've got, cloudy skies and rain and low pressure coming in tomorrow, Tuesday, as well as Wednesday. So if you can get out and fish ahead of that front and take advantage of that low light, that's going to be really key and help you generate more strikes. Always paying attention to not strip too fast, kind of letting the fly marinate or dangle, as I like to say. It's very easy to overfish or overwork a streamer when the water temperatures are still a little bit cold, all right? So still about a month away from really good, consistent mayfly hatches on those spring creeks. These true spring creeks don't have the same amount of rock and cobble, and so you're not going to get as many of those freestone bugs that we're going to be seeing in March and April and May on our mountain streams. So hang tight a little bit, pick your battles with dry fly fishing on those spring creeks. The time will come, and once it comes, it'll be good for months and months and months, all right? So as far as fishing our larger rivers and streams, the guys were out this past week doing a little recon and catching a couple really nice wintertime smallmouth. If you know what you're doing, if you've got a boat, if you can get to these winter lies and not just get to those winter lies, but know where some of those bigger fish are. Remember, these fish, they can't just hibernate. They can't just shut off. The bigger fish particularly have even more demand on their bodies to make weight and keep weight. So there's going to be an hour or two each day where they're really on the prowl looking for that big meal. The spin fishermen definitely have some more advantages just being able to get down deep with heavier lures. But if you know what you're doing with the fly rod, you got a sinking leader or a sinking line and some big flies, the right time of day, you can catch some really, really big smallmouth. The guys will be putting out some pics of some nice 18, 19-inch smallmouth that we were able to get to get to the hand just this past week. That'll improve hopefully slowly as long as we continue to warm into spring. Who knows? March is crazy in Virginia. It could be 75 degrees or it could snow 2 feet. You never really know. You got to be ready for all of it. So get out there and enjoy these nice windows while we have them.